Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, when I say the word blue balls, I think we all know what I'm talking about. But if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then I'm genuinely concerned for you. And actually probably too young to watch the channel. But anyways, without further ado, this is the story about how I got blue balls in the most wrong moment of my life. And I've actually had a few of these growing up, so let's just start with this one. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So today's story is basically how I got blue balls in a really awkward situation. But obviously, I have to tell it in the way that I need to tell it and basically start from the very beginning. It all starts off back when I was in middle school. And I had a middle school crush that I really loved. Like, no joke, I think it got to the point where I would basically do anything to see this girl fall in love with me. And I was such a helpless romantic that I actually wrote about her in my journal, aka my diary that I have. Well, it's mostly a journal, but people say diary for some reason. I have no idea why. Going on though, I remember one time I was writing inside my journal, and basically I was writing down, you know, just how my day was and how I wish I did better in some things. Like, for example, actually being social in class. You gotta understand, me in middle school, I wasn't cool, I wasn't popular, and the only way I got popular was when I got the Nintendo 3DS, so I can actually play Smash Bros with at least someone that kind of understands me. I had to buy a whole 3DS just to be cool, okay? Just, we're not gonna question it. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember basically one time, I saw my middle school crush actually walking down the hallway, so what I decided to do is I decided to close my book and decide to stand up and actually walk up to her. Funny enough, our lockers were beside each other. Well, actually, it wasn't funny enough. I actually really tried to get the locker right beside her, and I literally had to shove a girl walking up to the locker and putting my lock on it first, but we'll just say it was luck. But I remember I went up to my locker as she went up to hers, and I basically ended up putting my journal away, and she noticed it. She noticed it and thought it was kind of funny how I had a journal, and don't worry, I made sure she realized that it was a journal. And basically, I just ended up telling her how I just want to record my experience for whenever I ever got famous and people want to know my middle school life. Funny enough, I actually did a video of me showing this journal, so if you guys are really curious about it, you guys can go check that out. Going on though with the story, I remember basically that same day I ended up going to class with her because we had the same classroom that we usually went to, and we ended up sitting there getting ready for math class. And as we were doing math equations, apparently there was an announcement that my teacher had to make, and that was that we're having a winter dance. Now, if you guys don't know what dances are, basically it's when a bunch of students gather up together and basically go on the dance floor, listen to some, well, really old school music, but still family friendly, and basically just enjoy a good night. And me, I really want to do that. There was no way I was not gonna go to the school dance with my crush, right? Like, obviously. So me being the man I was, I basically ended up planning myself to basically go ask her out. I remember I ended up basically walking around, basically, you know, trying to find the perfect moment to ask her. And it got to the point where, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty creepy because I would basically be following her around the school. And I hope it wasn't noticeable, but if it was, God, I really don't like myself. But going on though, I remember I was basically walking around trying to figure out when was the perfect time to ask her. And funny enough, when she ended up going back to her locker to put her stuff away, that was the perfect time. And it seemed like the only perfect time since that was the only time I actually ever got to tell her words, at least. So I remember I ended up walking up to her and opened my locker, even though there was really nothing I needed in it. And basically ended up asking her saying, oh, like, hey, like, what's going on? I remember she looked at me, and when she looked at me with her eyes, I remember I basically froze. And I literally just stood there as basically my ears just went deaf. And I don't know what happened, but basically I was just seeing her mouth move, but I wasn't understanding anything that was coming out of it. But one thing led to another. A friend ended up coming behind her and basically ended up saying, oh, hey. And they started talking, and I didn't get to say anything to her. It was super awkward, and honestly, I regret not asking her at that moment, but trust me, this story gets even worse than that. I remember I was super nervous, and I basically tried another attempt at asking her, except this time it was after school. It was after school, and I remember she ended up walking up back to her locker after school to get her things to go home. And me, I was basically like kind of like at the classroom door ready to go out and basically just do it. And me, usually when I want to do something courageous back when I was a kid, my mom always told me to count down from 3. So that's what I did. I went 3, 2, 1, and right as I stepped 1 foot forward, another guy that was a lacrosse player in our school decided to walk up to her already and say, yo, hey girl, like, I'm just wondering, like, yo, like, are you going to like the dance with anyone? Because like, I'll take you. I remember my middle school crush ended up looking at him, and I'm not gonna lie, she didn't seem excited about him asking her. So I remember as she was about to give an answer, she looked over at me as I was literally kind of behind the guy about to walk up, and she ended up basically turning him down. I remember when he turned him down, I kind of just looked and kind of looked confused because, like, you know, he was way cooler than me, stronger than me, and he played a sport that I could never play. Like, I don't understand lacrosse. It's a stick with a net, okay? Just play hockey, for God's sake. Sorry, not the point, but going on. I remember I was super confused by it, and basically I kind of just stayed quiet. I didn't say anything, and basically this guy that was way cooler than me ended up walking off all upset. But then afterwards, I remember instead of asking her, thinking this was my moment, I thought it was a really dumb idea to ask her anything, so I decided to walk away and turned around. Yeah, I gave up my chance of actually asking her to go to the dance with me. But honestly, like I said earlier, the story gets worse. I remember basically after that situation, I ended up actually, funny enough, decided basically not to ask her out to the dance. And you guys are probably wondering why, and that's because if she was willing to turn down a super cool lacrosse player and basically a guy that was way cooler than me, then why in the world would she go with me? So I remember basically I ended up just pretending that I didn't know her and I just decided to just move on from her. At least that was what I thought I was doing. But in reality, I knew in my heart I still loved her. And funny enough, when you love someone, love has a magical way of somehow reconnecting you guys. So I remember out of nowhere, I remember her friend decided to walk up to me and say, hey, like, I'm just wondering, like, do you have a date to the dance? No, is what I said. And me thinking she was gonna ask me, she told me, oh, like, well, you should ask like that girl. As she literally pointed to my middle school crush. I remember I ended up saying no because, like, you know, I thought someone might have as well, like, already asked her and stuff. But then she ended up telling me that she was expecting me to ask her for a long time now. I remember I was freaked out and kind of confused, but if that was the case, then I might as well ask her. At the same time, though, I'm not gonna lie, I thought she was trolling, but surprisingly, I remember I decided to just have faith and I ended up just walking up to her. I walked up to her and I literally said the question, hey, so like, I was like, wondering, if like, you know, you're cool with like, you know, me, I was thinking me, you, and like, you know, clothing, but you know, obviously wear appropriate clothing to go dance. I don't know why I asked her like I was stupid, but yeah, I was stupid. And basically, I remember at that point, she ended up giggling and said, OMG, finally you asked me. Like, seriously, how long does it take for you just to ask me out? Wait, what is what I said? And basically one thing led to another. It ended up being that she ended up reading my journal when I wasn't looking on my desk. I think I went to go to the bathroom because I was having some really bad bowel movements, but that's not the point. Long story short, she ended up saying yes to me and well, I was in. It was kind of like a victory at that point, but that's not where things get worse. I remember at home, I was getting ready to basically go to the dance with this girl and I ended up wearing a white shirt with a nice collar on it. And also I wore really nice black pants that my dad gave me from when he was younger. I don't know. It was the only ones that were clean. Okay. And basically I ended up putting on my normal shoes and I ended up going to the dance. And when I got there, I remember I met up with her and for some reason, the lacrosse player that decided to ask her first was really upset with me. Like, no joke. He was giving me the stare down as if I was literally like Satan coming for his mother to do the devil's tango. And basically he just kept staring at me as if I literally stole his girl. Oh wait, I did. Bazinga. Sorry. That's not the point. But going on though, I remember I was basically just, you know, walking around with my pride and thinking, hey, I'm actually cool. Like, you know, I got Riz. And basically we ended up going on the dance floor, listening to some really awkward 2010 music since, you know, this was back when I was in middle school. But then right as I thought things were going to be amazing and I was going to have an amazing night, it happened. It happened where basically the slow dance music came on and they were playing Girl on Fire from Alicia Keys. Now I love her music, but I can never listen to that song normally again because what ended up happening next, well, I'm not going to lie to you, the story is too long to tell. And trust me, I promise you, I'll tell it in the next video. But other than that, leave a like, subscribe, and get ready for the next part. All right, peace out, guys.